Brains. Brains. Num 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 num. So I finally got to see Prometheus. Now I know I've put it off and put it off and put it off, and I've not made other videos because I've genuinely just wanted to get to the Prometheus review. I've made so many videos. I covered all the Alien franchise, and I made numerous videos every time there was an updated trailer or teaser or piece of information about Prometheus. But it's taken me ages since the release of the film to actually be able to do a review, and the reason is that I promised one of my friends that I would go and watch it for the first time with him, and he was away on holiday with his wife and kids, so I had to wait until they came back. They came back and I watched it. So the thing about 2012 as a year, as a movie year, is that you get these years where there are loads of films that you're really looking forward to, and 2012 is one of those. There have been so many films that I've been, The Woman in Black, because I love the source material, I love the book, the play, the radio plays, everything about it. So I was really interested to see a big screen adaptation of it. The Dark Knight Rises, because I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. I loved Inception and most of the films that he's made, actually. And I'm a huge Batman fan as well. So to see the possibility of there being a third, or being a trilogy of Batman movies that may actually be great, I mean, it's something I'm really looking forward to. The Avengers, again, Joss Whedon, someone that I admire because of his work on Firefly and Serenity. Hoping to see what he would do with the Avengers, which I really liked, by the way, and I'll do a video on that. So there are loads of films this year that I've been really looking forward to. But it was always about Prometheus, and the reason for that is that Prometheus is a prequel to the 1979 film Alien. And Alien is one of my all-time favourite films. In fact, I would say I watch Alien, honestly, about once every 4 or 5 weeks. I just think it's a masterpiece. I never grow tired of it. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the director, Ridley Scott, has came back, he's returned to actually reclaim the Alien series, because it went right off track with the Alien versus Predator films. But the problem is that initially Prometheus was going to be an out-and-out Alien prequel. It was going to be about the ship on LV-426, the ship where we find the alien creatures and the alien eggs. It was going to be about that, and probably just have a lot of aliens in it again. But Ridley Scott decided that it was going to tread over old ground. So instead, when Damon Lindelof, who was one of the writers on Lost, came on board, he took it in another direction, which was to say, right, okay, let's take something that happened in Alien, and we'll build an entire film around it, and we'll go in a different direction. So if you're going to go and see this movie, don't expect an Alien film, because it's not, alright? It's based in the same universe, and there are nods to the original film, and there are also aspects of it which will affect your viewing of the original film as well. But it isn't essentially an Alien movie. It's set at the tail end of the 21st century, where Elizabeth Shaw, played by Noomi Rapace, is a scientist who has gathered all of these pictorial representations from different cultures around the world, but from prehistory, where human beings have etched or carved or painted on cave walls pictures of of a specific star system, and it appears that perhaps human beings have had some sort of contact with alien life early on in their evolution, and it may even be that this alien life engineered humanity somehow but disappeared for some reason. So eventually what happens is that they identify the star system that's in all of these pictures, and they decide to go there, and that's what the film is about. Is Prometheus is the name of the ship, which also, if you're into your mythology, you'll know what Prometheus is. It's a reference to the idea. It's about technology, and it's about Prometheus was someone who stole fire from the gods, and anyway, so and gave it to humanity. So it's about engineering. It's about technology. It's about the beginning of things. So in the film, the ship Prometheus lands, and everybody comes out of hypersleep. And the crew is made up, it's a sort of mismatch of scientists, you've got geologists, archaeologists, linguists, and you also have mercenaries that have been hired to crew of the ship, and you also have Vickers, who's a character played by Charlize Theron, who is the sort of representative for the company on the ship. And the company has hired these people to attempt to investigate whether Elizabeth Shaw's theory is correct and whether this planet actually will have alien life on it, whether there will be an alien civilization there, and whether we can learn from them. And you have all this drama inside of the ship where you've got the different sort of factions. You've got the company, and you've got the crew, and you've got the scientists, and there are there's a lot of friction between all of those elements, and that's part of the makeup of the film. So to cut a long story short, they get to the planet, they come out, they end up finding an alien structure which goes deep into the belly of the planet, and they go down into it to explore, and they find relics and almost like a sort of underground temple, which seems to be some sort of iconic worship area where somehow this structure's been built to worship an alien race that doesn't seem to be there anymore. And there are all these canisters sitting, almost like, well, exactly like the alien eggs in Alien and in the other Alien films. It's really what's in these canisters that really sort of propels the film into sort of closer to the sort of Alien series. That's really what it's about. They then come back, and there's, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but it's basically the story of infection and body horror and other alien life forms being there, and obviously there's something in the dark. That's the whole idea of it. So it's fairly standard science fiction stuff, but what I was really looking forward to was the fact that we were kind of promised that it was going to be about the profound questions of humanity. That's what Prometheus was going to be about. It was going to explore in a very intellectual way the beginnings of mankind and our relationship with our possible creator or creators. And very much it was going to perhaps explore the questions that were asked in Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Unfortunately, we don't get that. What we get is we get a film that starts off really strongly. It establishes itself as if it's going to ask those profound questions, and then about halfway through the film it just ditches all of it and becomes a standard science fiction horror film. And that's really bitterly disappointing, because I really thought we were going to get so much more out of it. I mean, I was hoping there was going to be a horror element to it, I really did, but I was also hoping that we were going to get something which did ask or tackle the big questions of existence and the meaning of life and that philosophical dimension to existence. We don't get that, and that's the problem, is that the film, it's as if the film has ambition and then it just ditches it. The problem is essentially with the script, because you have to have a balance. You see, there are mysteries that are left in the 1979 film Alien. They're left unanswered, and it creates a real backdrop actually to everything. It just gives it texture and a reality and a depth, where you have all these questions to ask. What is this creature? Where does it come from? What is this spaceship that's lying there? And the problem is that either Damon Lindelof or whoever made the final decision on the cut, whether it was Ridley Scott or someone else, they do not explore any of those mysteries, which is fine to a degree, because I didn't really want them to ruin those mysteries, but they don't explore any side mysteries or any aspects which wouldn't have affected your viewing of the original Alien film. They don't explore the sort of setup of the whole film, of who these engineers are or anything like that. I think the film is actually quite cynical in the way that it almost deliberately leaves out elements, or at least feels like it deliberately leaves out elements, because there's going to be a sequel. Instead of tackling what these creatures are on the planet, where they come from or anything like that, it just leaves everything unanswered. And that's okay to a degree, but you have to get the balance right. You have to show enough so that the audience doesn't feel like the writers or the director, they don't really have any answers. You want to feel as if the answers are there in the film, and it doesn't feel that way with Prometheus at all. So I've left feeling really disappointed. Now here's the thing. It's actually a good film, and it may surprise you, me saying that. It's just that it has real weaknesses in terms of not answering those mysteries, or at least not tackling them. And it has a real problem in that it also provides certain things which are supposed to be a nod to Alien, but actually affect your viewing of the original Alien film. They tell you things that just takes away the drama of not knowing in the original film with certain specific things. I don't want to go into details, so I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But that's the problem. They just don't get the balance right at all. There's some great performances. I mean, Noomi Rapace and Michael Fassbender as David, who's this ambiguous android who is fascinated with humanity but also seems to almost resent it as well. Fantastic performances, but there are other issues in the film as well. Like, for example, there's this moment of heroism towards the end of the film with some of the crew, and that would have been great, but there's one problem. We've not been really introduced to these characters properly. We don't really know them, so we don't feel that their sacrifice, it doesn't emotionally grab you in the same way as a character that you've sort of grown to know and appreciate. I initially thought that, right, this is a film that a lot has been left on the cutting room floor, a lot, and we'll get an extended cut and it'll be great. But Ridley Scott says, no, this is his cut. You know, so I'm disappointed. When you look at Alien and you look at Blade Runner, that's Ridley Scott's other science fiction films, and I never expected it to be up there with those two films. They're two of the greatest science fiction films ever made. But I really did hope we were going to get something special. If you're a science fiction fan, and you're looking for something that is going to grab your attention, I mean, because I was never bored at any point, you know, in the film. I enjoyed it enough, but it just wasn't spectacular, you know. And even the production design, because Ridley Scott has like abandoned the whole idea of a used universe, which was part of the point of Alien. You know, in places the film feels more like Star Trek with the sort of sheen to it. And it suffers from the same problem as other prequels, such as the Star Wars prequels, in that the prequels seem to be more advanced than the films that are supposed to follow them in terms of chronology. So you have technology which seems more advanced in the supposedly, you know, earlier part of the story. So that's a real problem as well, and it's just too clean cut. See, there's a visceral, organic grittiness to Alien, even though it's still beautiful. But I don't think Ridley Scott's got the look right for an Alien film, for a film in the Alien universe. And this brings me to probably my last point, which is, what was the point in making this a film that was set in the Alien universe? Really, there was none. They should have just made this a standalone science fiction film. If you replace the engineers with something else other than the creatures that you see in the Alien franchise, then really there's nothing in this that would make you think that this has to be an Alien movie. They could have just made it a standalone thing, and perhaps they would have been able to go in more directions, rather than being too afraid of hurting the original film, even though it does manage to do that slightly, to a degree. So really you're left thinking, why is this an Alien universe? There's no point, there's no reason, you know. And I'm really just saddened that they decided to change things to do with the space jockey creature. That was one of the most iconic moments in the original Alien film, and the mystery surrounding that creature. So it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, because I'm saying in one sense that they don't tackle mysteries enough, and in another I'm saying that they've done too much with it. But I'm not contradicting myself. What I'm saying is that they tackled the wrong mysteries. Alright, that's what they did. They tackled the wrong mysteries. They should have addressed the philosophical implications for humanity more. That should have been the mystery that they tackled. But the stuff to do with the actual space jockeys and what they look like and things like that, that should have been left well alone. But if you are a science fiction fan, you will probably like it. It's a decent science fiction movie. one of the biggest problems I have with it is that it's also supposed to be a horror film, at least in places, and I wasn't scared at any point. There's some body horror in it, but you feel that Ridley Scott was trying to echo or equal the famous chestbuster scene that he made in Alien, and rather than doing something that absolutely needed to happen. I still cringed during the main scene, and anyone that's seen it will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I feel like the film just wasn't individual enough. You know, I've seen these. It looked like Danny Boyle's Sunshine or Event Horizon in places. You know, it looked like these films that I've seen before, made by, well, Danny Boyle's a great director, but films which are not perhaps absolutely brilliant, but that's the thing with Prometheus, is it's kind of average in a lot of ways. Now, what I will say is that I will do an analysis video, and when I do an analysis video on this, it will be with repeat viewing, so it'll be once I get the DVD, or if I go to see it in the cinema again, but I don't think I will. And the 3D as well, what was the point in 3D? 30% colour reduction on a film that's shot in dark places. And then the 3D is not really used adequately either. I mean, it's yeah, Ridley Scott tried to layer it nicely, and there was some nice things that were done, but again, not much point. I wish I'd went to see it in 2D, but I didn't really get the option. The cinema that I went to didn't have a 2D version of it shown, which it seems to be where Hollywood's going, to force us to watch 3D, which means that we all have to pay even more to go to the cinema, and that's bullshit. Anyway, that's what I thought of Prometheus. I think if you like science fiction, you'll probably like it. It's a solid film, it is a solid movie, and it's interesting to a degree, but because of the universe that it's grounded in, it just doesn't work to the level that I really hoped that it would. So what did you guys think about it, if you've seen it, and what do you think about the upcoming sequel? Do you think they'll be able to address a lot of the issues that Prometheus had? So that's the Prometheus review. I'm sorry I've been stumbling over my words, it's a bit late and I'm quite tired, but I will be back probably in the next few days with some more reviews of some films that I've seen recently. Thanks for watching, bye for now. It was marketed completely as something that it wasn't. The people, the producers and the marketing team seemed to think that they were getting an action film with someone like a Stallone in the lead. And apparently one of the producers on one of the screenings turned round to John Carpenter or Kurt Russell and said of Jack Burton, the main character, he's not very good, is he? So they didn't really get that that's the comedy of it, is that Jack Burton is always out of his element. If you watch Indiana Jones, sometimes he has that as well, and there's a charm to that where Indy is slightly out of his element. You see a look in his face where he's kind of like getting beaten up or doesn't really know if he's going to get out of this. And all this film does is it takes that to the extreme where the sort of main lead is really out of his element. Nolan fan, I loved Inception and most of the films that he's made actually, and I'm a huge Batman fan as well, so to see the possibility of there being a third or being a trilogy of Batman movies that may actually be great, I mean, it's something I'm really looking forward to. The Avengers, again, Joss Whedon, someone that I admire because of his work on Firefly and Serenity, hoping to see what he would do with the Avengers, which I really liked, by the way, and I'll do a video on that. So there are loads of films this year that I've been really looking forward to, but it was always about Prometheus, and the reason for that is that Prometheus is a prequel to the 1979 film Alien. And Alien is one of my all-time favourite films. In fact, I would say I watch Alien, honestly, about once every 4 or 5 weeks. I just think it's a masterpiece. I never grow tired of it. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the director, Ridley Scott, has came back, he's returned to actually reclaim the Alien series, because it went right off track with the Alien versus Predator films. But the problem is that initially Prometheus was going to be an out-and-out Alien prequel. It was going to be about the ship on LV-426, the ship that where we find the alien creatures and the alien eggs. It was going to be about that, and probably just have a lot of aliens in it again. But Ridley Scott decided that it was going to tread over old ground, so instead, when Damon Lindelof, who was one of the writers on Lost, came on board, he took it in another direction, which was to say, right, okay, let's take something that happened in Alien and we'll build an entire film around it and we'll go in a different direction. So if you're going to go and see this movie, don't expect an Alien film, because it's not, alright. It's would go and watch it for the first time with him, and he was away on holiday with his wife and kids, so I had to wait until they came back. They came back and I watched it. So the thing about 2012 as a year, as a movie year, is that, you know, you get these years where there are loads of films that you're really looking forward to, and 2012 is one of those. There have been so many films that I've been, you know, The Woman in Black, because I love the source material, I love the book, the play, the radio plays, everything about it. So I was really interested to see a big screen adaptation of it. The Dark Knight Rises, because I'm a huge Christopher... Brains. Num 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 num. So I finally got to see Prometheus. Now I know I've put it off and put it off and put it off, and I've not made other videos because I've genuinely just wanted to get to the Prometheus review. I've made so many videos. I covered all the Alien franchise, and I made numerous videos every time there was an updated trailer or teaser or piece of information about Prometheus, but it's taken me ages since the release of the film to actually be able to do a review. And the reason is that I promised one of my friends